So I wouldn't recommend doing this every day of the week, but I ate something today. We went to Costco, and before I even started shopping, here I am in line, beep, 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 bop, beep, ordering. You know, on Costco now they have a pad, like a menu touchpad, and it's kind of like, I guess, going to like Wawa. I mean, Wawa's been like that for a while, right? Where they had the, you know, you order ahead, but now it's just really easy at Costco. And yep, got a big old hot dog and loaded it up with relish, mustard, ketchup. Not in that order. I think the order is ketchup, mustard on the other side. So, and then on top everywhere. If you're a relish person, relish on top of everything. That's the order. That's what I did. It was glorious. Whew. I'll go everything. If they got onions, I'm putting onions on that thing. How do you like your hot dog? I mean, there's so many ways to do it. There's cream cheese. You go Polish sausage. There's cream cheese. There's jalapenos. There's so many different ways to do it. The Seattle style is the cream cheese. It's I want to say it's Polish sausage with cream cheese and something else in there, but it's really good. Sometimes the cream cheese can be too much, but I like a little bit of it. It's nice. So, you know, you take that style and you do it, you know, your way at home. Whoo, it's gonna be good. But you can't beat the price. Costco hot dogs, $1.50. Like what? You know, the CEO recently came out with, I don't know, whatever. He was doing an interview or something, but he was just saying he's just not going to change the price on the hot dogs because it's almost like a door buster or you know, whatever. Like you get people in the door for the $1.50 hot dog. I don't know if I really think about hot dogs when I think Costco, but now I do. Now I kind of do. Now, you know, and another thing, the giant churros. Like, whoa, have you seen the size of the giant churros? You can't even fit it on this screen. It's giant. No, it's probably like this long, and you get them fresh. It's the best. It's like, well, you pay probably $1.50 for that too. So the better deal is a hot dog, but it's still a great deal for the churro. This isn't even an ad. I'm sorry. I don't work for Costco. They didn't take out an ad on my podcast. I'm sorry. I'm just singing their praises. I'm sure there's plenty more that they're doing right. You know, I know a lot of people that work there, in fact, or have worked there in the past. And it seems like a great place. So anyway, Costco. Got a few things. They didn't have, I wanted to go get a jacket, like a new jacket. I wanted to get this guy, we call him Corn Dog Guy. I want to get him a jacket. He's this guy in Bremerton that just walks up and down Kitsap Way. And his jacket, he loves this jacket. And it's in tatters. He's definitely, you know, low income. I don't even know if he has a job. He might be on disability or something like that. But I just felt like, okay, I'm going to look for a jacket. And if there's one that kind of fits that description, I'm getting it. They didn't have it. But next stop's going to be like Ross Dress for Less, maybe TJ Maxx, something like that would have like the last season. So we need like a winter season, and everything in Costco now is like switching over to spring camping, gardening, like tons of stuff like that. So anyway, you know, another thing they have at Costco is the MxPx All Night IPA. It's available in pretty much all Costco's in Washington State, Idaho, maybe not all Costco's in Idaho, but anything up near Washington, I think should have it. Check the distributor. No, and you know, Oregon's got it too. So check it out. I apologize, you know, to those that want to order it by mail. I don't know what happened to that program, but they just don't do it. I think it just isn't worth it for the amount of headache that they have to do. And so for them, the beer sells out no matter what. So they just sell it. And that's what they sell it just like they sell their other beer, rather than, they're not used to accommodating a rock and roll audience. You know what I'm saying? So think of it from their standpoint. They don't put their beers on mail order things. And so that's why I think they tried it the first time and they were just like, this is too much for us. So I hope you can understand that that's, you know, it's out of our hands, because legally we can't have any part of the actual, you know, distribution of the beer because of the laws, but we can definitely drink the beer. And, you know, what's funny is I bought a 4-pack of beer, of our beer, my own beer, Silver City All Night IPA. And it was kind of like what I used to do in the stores when our albums would come out. I would go to a record store and buy, you know, the new album. And so that's a tradition that I'm gonna continue with any major release, any kind of real release that has distribution. You know, as far as like say you know, when it comes to self-titled, you know, we put that album out completely on our own. So, you know, completely self-released. We were our own record label, right? So I don't know how that works, because we don't go to record stores. We mostly just sell. I mean, because the way the world is, people don't really go to record stores except for to buy like the new, they might want to buy the new Taylor Swift album at Target or Walmart, but like they're not trying to go to MxPx, not these days. You know, like every now and again you see a punk band that has an album in those stores, but for us, we just don't have the team and the money to invest in that, because that's a small per unit profit game versus they're just trying to get sales. They're trying to like stack up sales. It's a very antiquated, old school way of doing business, and we just don't do it that way anymore. It's more about selling straight to our fans, straight from us to you, and we do that at MxPx.com, and we have our own merch store in Bremerton. My mom is the manager. We have a couple employees that are part-time. We have you know, me, I'm sort of the big project guy behind the big releases and stuff we do with like vinyl and stuff. Like on the ground, you know, we have a team, you know, management team and booking team, and you know, we have a few people that really help us get a lot done, you know, that don't live in Bremerton as well. So those people are helping out with all the things, you know, including this new beer that came out, you know. So yeah, we got it. So if you guys want to check out the beer, it's silvercity.beer/MxPx. And don't be afraid of the IPA moniker. That's really a sales tactic, because the Silver City brand is IPAs. They sell a lot of IPAs, but we wanted a pale ale. We wanted something that was a little bit on the light side of an IPA, and that's what we got. So it's still an IPA, but it's like a real chill IPA. So if you don't like IPAs, you still actually might really enjoy this one. But if you like, you know, only Pilsners, only like Coors Light, that kind of thing, this might be too much flavor. This might be. But it's a light-bodied IPA. It's a one-of-a-kind beer. A lot of people really have been enjoying it at the tap room. Go into the Silver City tap room and get if you want to get it straight from the source, that's where they brew it. So you might as well go there and buy it in Bremerton while supplies last, because that's limited. So anyway, I didn't mean for this to become a commercial, but I did see it, and always makes me proud. So thanks to Silver City Brewery, and thanks to you guys always supporting everything we do. And again, you know, let's keep it positive out there. You know, the thing I hate to see is, you know, it is a bummer sometimes when you can't get something, you know, because you're out of state. But it's also a bummer to be negative online, to be a negative Nancy. So I would encourage MxPx fans on the message group, and this might not be any of you. It might be all of you listening. Might be, bundles of joy. Always positive. Keeping it positive. But there's some people out there that even when things are good, they just have to shit on something. They have to take a poo, and that always, it doesn't get to me for more than 2 seconds. But like, I'm just like, man, why is that the focus? There's so many good things, that, the fact that this is cool, but, that being said, we're all human, and a lot of times people get they go online to alleviate some of that stress. But I just encourage you, to alleviate stress in a different way, and if you have some pushback on that, I encourage you to call in, leave me a voicemail, let me know what your thoughts are on negativity online versus positivity online, keeping things positive, even if you don't feel always positive. You don't necessarily have to lie to people, but just maybe keep the negativity to yourself. I think that's become an issue these days, is like, oh, I have to tell my story. I have to be true to myself. Like, sure, be true to yourself, but don't tell everybody your business all the time. Don't tell everybody how sad you are all the time. Like, I get the mental health thing. Sure, share that, please. Don't wallow in that. That's not what I'm talking about here. I think I'm talking about just the people that see something in the fact that they can't get this vinyl ran out, or this thing ran out, and like I said, most of you on podcast listeners are very positive people. So I'm not necessarily talking about you, but there are some real good fans of MxPx, like super fans of MxPx, that are still like kind of negative sometimes when things don't go their way. But let's find the good. That's what I'm trying to do. I feel like that's what we're always trying to do as humans in this life. Like, where do we fit in? What's the real goal here? Where are we headed? Right? I feel like a lot of times I really love my routine. But at the same time, I want to be working towards a larger goal, a bigger picture. And so, but the only way to really get to a bigger picture is to have those ideas, but do something every day and work on it a little bit each day, because it doesn't happen overnight. And you can't push, like just a perfect example would be this band. We have shows coming up, and we have to get a whole new set together. We're not going to just rely on what we've done in the past. We're going to push ourselves. We're going to make up a new set. We're going to put new transitions in. We're going to add new breakdowns, and we're going to add, a new vibes to, and by new, I mean a new way of doing, our set of songs, and not just doing only the fan favorites. We're going to put some songs in there that may challenge an average listener, but a real fan's gonna know those songs. One of my favorite bands, The Descendants, they do different sets all the time. We do different sets, but people, a good example is The Descendants doing literally, they don't favor any songs. Like, sometimes they'll do Everything Sucks, sometimes they won't. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they have a song called Everything Sucks as well, and it might be better than ours, but it's completely different. So we'll give it that. But with them, being able to throw in so many different songs from throughout their career is really great. And we have been doing that with the live streams. Every live stream set is the same, except for a couple songs. We always do Let's Ride. We always do Can't Keep Waiting Now. We always do. Usually we always do My Life Story. So there's definitely some staples in there that we're always doing. Friday Tonight, always doing that. And if you don't know those newer songs, you're going to be left behind at a show, because yes, we're playing fan favorites, but we might be playing a few songs, and it's not going to be like all up front. We're gonna save some of that. We're gonna just mix it in, I don't know. I'm toying with a lot of ideas right now, set list wise. So, there's going to be live stream stuff. There's going to be, shows live on the internet. There's going to be some shows coming up, and I might as well let you know. You can go to MxPx.com, but on July 1st, that's I want to say it's a Friday or Saturday, Trois, Rivières, Quebec, Canada, at Festivoix. I think it's called Festivoix. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. My French isn't the best, but we're going to be there. We're headlining that night. It's going to be epic. Come out. Let's have a, maybe I can smuggle some, I shouldn't say this online. Maybe I should smuggle some beer. No, we'll get some. Anyway, come on, get tickets for that, because that's the first thing we're doing, July 1st. Boom. And then the next thing we have scheduled, I'm not saying this is the next thing that's going to happen, but this is the next thing we have scheduled. It's September 22nd, Birmingham, Alabama, in the U.S. at Furnace Fest. That's a Friday night, and MxPx is headlining. A bunch of our friends are going to be there. 90 Pound Wuss, Amberlin, Reliant K, Hatebreed. It's going to be absolutely bonkers. And the fact that we get to play a headlining set, and yeah, we might play some fan favorites on that one, It's not going to be too as obscure as some of these, but it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. And we're not a nostalgia band. We have nostalgia to our songs and to our set, but that's not all we are. We're a band that's right here, right now, doing things that we think are just as important as anything we've ever done. And we have a new album coming, and we're getting really excited, but it's not ready yet. So we're still working on all the parts and all the pieces. So I know you guys have been waiting, and you can't keep waiting, but you got to keep waiting for what's next. I'm excited. All right, you guys. So a couple more dates on the books. Can't forget about this. These are sold out, but October 21 and 22, Las Vegas, Nevada, When We're Young Fest, 2 days in a row. I don't know. Maybe they'll add one more. I would love it if they added another couple of those. Why? Well, because once you're there for one, and then once you're there for two, wow, it gets a lot easier to just stick around and just keep playing in the same place. And that would be epic. And then you can actually start making more of a profit on shows, because it's really hard these days after COVID, post-COVID. All the prices, inflation has been insane. All the prices have been way up. So that really helps bring prices down if you're in one city over and over and over. So that's why I hope we do another one or another 5. Hell, I don't, the guys are going to have to take some time off work for that. But if it goes to 5, but I think they will. I think I think they could make an exception on that. But all right, let's get to it. We don't have a new Music Monday today. Nobody, at least I looked for an email. I didn't find one yet. Maybe they're getting it ready, but somebody was going to send something in soon. That's okay. We don't need one every Monday. But I saw on, I don't know, it was on, I think it was on the MxPx Facebook group or something like that. Yeah, MxPx Podcast Facebook group. By the way, if you haven't already joined that, please do. Bob McKnight, our illustrious producer, is now in charge. He's at the helm of the podcast group and has started welcoming new members. He's kicking spam out. I was doing that before. I wasn't welcoming new members, but I was kicking out the spam, but it was just not maybe in time. And it wasn't as, well, one, Bob found out that the group was public before, and now it's private. So public before, you could just join, which I didn't realize that. I thought you had to join, because there was a point where every member I was approving. And so at some point, I just thought that there was just nobody asking to be part of the podcast group. But I think I was wrong. I think it was just public and people didn't have to ask me. Somehow it got changed. I don't know. But if you're on Facebook, please be part of that. I swear I post once a week every time we do the podcast. And then you can have a discussion. People post podcast-based stuff, band-based stuff sometimes or whatever. But anyway, here we are from the podcast Facebook group. I do this from time to time. Actually, last week was Pinstock, which I hope you guys check that out because that band is great. If you haven't already listened to Pinstock from last week. But the week before that was a question based on a post in this group by Daniel Joss Leary. And it was about the Rolling Stone photo shoot, all that. Great episode. Recommend if you're a fan of MxPx and you like to, if you want to get nostalgic, that's the episode to listen to for a minute. All right, Tim Baldwin, thanks for writing in. Here you go. Hi, Mike Herrera. First, I want to say thank you to you and your family for your podcast, and to everyone that makes MxPx what it is, the band, the crew, and everyone else. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that. The fact that you thanked my family is kind of funny, but it's actually true because right now I'm not spending any time with them. I'm doing this podcast, so I appreciate it. Thanks for saying that. Today so I'm back to Tim talking. Today I have a two-part question about your experiences with technology and how it impacts your artistic performance as a multi-talented musician. 1. Do you think man will ever colonize Mars? Okay. That's interesting. 2. If given the opportunity during your lifetime, would MxPx live stream to or from Earth? The question is intended to be completely open-ended. Be serious, have fun, or choose to not answer. Your response could be as simple as, not until someone figures out how to make an active state pickup that isn't dependent upon a battery. Keep on picking, Tim. Okay. Interesting. The first question back to that. Do you think man will ever colonize Mars? My thoughts on that are, if we do not get blown up, if we don't blow each other up, if we don't get blown up by a meteor, a super volcano, you get what I'm saying, right? We don't go into the sea, then yeah, I think eventually. Now, in our lifetime, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. We haven't even gone to the moon lately. And if we went to the moon, we don't have video of it because they didn't have that. They had to reshoot it for promos on the soundstage. It'd be like bands do with a music video where that we're not playing, but we're acting like we're playing and singing. So, spoiler alert, those that don't know, a lot of times, well, just about any time, it's like a music video from the album, and you're performing to the song. It's fake. It's a reenactment of, this is what it was like. This is what it's like to play the song, but I'm not actually playing the song. I'm singing the song. But you don't hear what I'm singing. You hear what I sang before on the recording. So I think that's what it was before with the moon. And that's why there's the conspiracy theories of, we never went to the moon, that's all like fake, blah, blah, blah. Well, it is fake. It's faked because it's reenacted. It's like a reality show about a true event, but they reenact a part of it because they don't have the footage. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, you guys. I mean, what do you think about the moon? And am I right? Am I wrong? Okay. Mars, I feel like, let's conquer the moon first, and yeah, why Mars? Because there was life found on Mars, because there's some resources we could excavate, mine Mars. So your question is, colonize Mars. I don't know if there's a reason to colonize Mars, because maybe there's a better planet out there that we just haven't discovered yet. That's the key, right? Let's discover, and by the time we have the technology to go to Mars, maybe that technology will catapult us even further, you know, through a wormhole, through a black hole, whatever. I don't know. A lot of possibilities, but that's given we're not torn apart, and our other technology isn't torn apart by some major disaster. The whole world is an earthquake. You know, I don't know. You know, like, I don't think about that. I do think about that now and again, but like, I'm not thinking about that daily. About like, what if the world ends? Like, most of the time, it's like my son talking about, all right, let's play zombie apocalypse, and you know, I think, okay, let's do it. You know, that's the end of the world too. But honestly, what would it, if it was the end of the world? Would you rather be a survivor and deal with the aftermath of everything, or would you rather just go? Even if it was horrible and terrifying, it's going to be horrible and terrifying no matter what, probably. So like, if you survive, the real horror begins. One, surviving. If you're a good person, surviving all the terrible people, surviving whatever it is that you're running from, whether it's zombies, whether it's like, if you've seen Last of Us, the zombies are different. They're more like fungi type thing. That's not a spoiler, I don't think. It's not something I think about that often, but it is something that is put in front of us all the time, whether it's on the news, TV shows, movies, advertisements, podcasts now, me barking at you about the end of the world and Mars and colonizing the moon. But I love the question, though. I love the question. Now, part 2. If given the opportunity during your lifetime, would MxPx stream to or from Earth? Of course we would, of course. Now, what does that mean? I mean, sure. I mean, does that mean we could be here and we could be live streaming from here to somewhere else? And given the opportunity, I would love to do that. Now, maybe we just, you know, videos exist, you know, just green screen everything. But yeah, if there's a way to get to the moon or somewhere, another planet where it makes sense, but I'm not interested in being a pioneer. I'll tell you that. Like, I've seen Little House on the Prairie. We've talked about it on this podcast. I'm not into that. I enjoy just having the life that we have, you know. And I realize that sounds incredibly, I don't know, maybe it's naive, but incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? It sounds like I've got a good life is what it is. And I do, you know, like, I enjoy being creative. I enjoy doing different things throughout the week. I enjoy like cleaning up the studio. There's been so much going on that I've been cleaning up the studio the last couple of days. Having Moen over, my buddy Moen, to help me set up a couple cool things. We're always doing something, you know, and that's it. Is I think if we don't get wiped out, because humans are always doing something, we're going to get there. We'll get there. Now, I've talked about this a little bit in the past on a few episodes, but ancient civilizations with progressive and modern technology, you know, technology that we didn't even have, you know, like that's the kind of thing that really fascinates me. And I'm definitely not an expert in any of that, but just I I vaguely just, I like things that have to do with advanced ancient civilizations, and to think what kind of devices and technologies and what kind of how they were able to harness some of the natural resources in ways that were different from the ways we would do it. Now, they always say that to somebody that's very simple and doesn't know anything about technology, it looks, so when they see technology, it looks like magic. And I would say that is probably what we would think about when we would see technology from ancient civilizations here on Earth, from like hundreds of thousands of years ago, before the last ice age, before they were, Göbekli Tepe was covered with an asteroid or whatever, right? So they would have things that were probably working kind of like things in our world work, but you don't see the insides. You don't see how they're working. This computer, the fact that I'm recording this camera, this microphone, audio's going into that thing, video into here, it's capturing. Those advanced civilizations may see this and think, this is magic, right? Magic. But we may see what they were doing with moving giant stones, cutting stone perfectly to make the pyramids. Like, there's no question that is not possible with the tools that we have today. But there's got to be some tool that would make it work. And wow, that they figured that out, that somebody figured that out. And sure, there's theories that's alien technology, that aliens gave technology to the people, or that they built the pyramids and not people of African descent. But the thing is why haven't the aliens given us that technology now? Why not? Because we come from basically cavemen again, like we were down to cavemen. We were down to, the Adam and Eve story again, where my theory is there's many different Adam and Eve type scenarios around the world where enclave, it's not my theory. What I feel like is plausible and could have happened. I mean, there's many theories that are plausible. So this is one that I think is one that's plausible. That there was many different little pockets of humans living around the world, not very many, and this happens, and then the humans get built up over time, and like we are now with technology. But back then it's a different technology, and then the ice age before that is a whole different technology, and you're like, well, why is there no remnants? Why is there nothing left of this? Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years, and you wait like a couple of years, and some buildings just rot and fall apart, and go back into the forest. So I mean, I think it's just the absolute passage of time. Let's get to some voicemails. I love this topic, though. I would love for you guys, anybody that wants to call in about it, please do. The number is 360-830-6660. Tell me what you think about it. Ancient civilizations, were there advanced ancient civilizations, or were they all just cavemen, Neanderthals, and all that? I'm sure you guys know a lot more about it than I do. I'm literally just talking off like a few random documentaries I've seen and conversations I've heard on podcasts and stuff like that. But fascinating stuff. Fascinating. All right. Graham Hancock comes to mind. There's a documentary, and I haven't even watched it yet, but it's called Ancient Aliens or something like that. Graham Hancock. I think I watched like the first segment. There's this like giant grass hill mountain thing, and there's like this living space inside it. It's just a trip. But anyway, Tim, thanks for writing into the podcast Facebook group. And yeah, got it. My wife just texted me. You guys want to hear it? Here's a little glimpse into my life. My wife texted, I just saved us $250 by fixing the buttons on the sofa. I had to look up a YouTube video, but I did it. Amazing. I'm going to write her back later. Let's get to these voicemails. What do you guys think? Let's go.
Hey, Mike, this is Bill from Brockport calling back. Got a couple questions regarding the Let's Rock album, if you don't mind. Number one, where did it stand as like a release with you guys? Obviously, it wasn't in the box set, which I was surprised of. To me, it was kind of one of those quintessential albums for me going through my late teens, and I really gravitated towards it. There were some really, really good songs on there, and just kind of curious how the album came about, what it was as far as a project for MxPx, as far as being maybe a main release, or was it just some B-side things that got worked out that got put out? And also, on the song 1 and 3, or first and third, however you guys actually say it, the Star Wars intro, is that something that was planned out or just kind of happened, or was kind of talked about jokingly and was tried out and stuck? I've heard a lot of those kind of fun stories of, yeah, we were just experimenting in the studio and bam, it clicked and we really liked it, so we stuck with it, listening to Kristen Makes a Podcast where he's dissecting songs and whatnot. Just kind of curious on that, and keep on keeping on, and can't wait for the new album, man. Take her easy. Bye.
Great question. So it's interesting hearing you talk about Let's Rock. But thanks for calling in, Bill. Let's Rock, for us, was a B-side album. It was an album that was kind of done as just kind of like, okay, let's just put this out. We have Secret Weapon coming next. You know, I was already writing for that. I think it was just kind of like, because it was a B-side album, it wasn't songs that we were super focused on right there. And so that's probably why we didn't give it a ton of attention. But also we were moving labels. We were switching from Side One Dummy to Tooth and Nail, back to Tooth and Nail for Secret Weapon. And that could put a little damper on like promoting, and you know, like you're like more focused on the next record that way, you know. It's just human nature, I think. But I love that you have an experience with the album that I'd never think I've heard from anybody else. Like I've definitely heard that a lot of people like 1 and 3, or you know, a lot of people like Breathe Deep or You Walk I Run. You know, Every Light. I don't really hear people talk about Every Light ever. It's kind of a forgotten song, but yeah, it's a full album, you know, but it's got some acoustic stuff on it, and it's incohesive, you know. It's a B-side album, so it's got like this kind of song and this kind of song, and it doesn't necessarily have if anything, it's a punk album in some ways, but it's a very rock album in others. So there's a lot of the B-sides are the ones that aren't punk enough to make the record, you know. So you have like a Don't Forget Me When You're Gone that's like full on pop song. You've got where's the other one? Where Did You Go? Oh man, that another one. That's like so different. Not your normal MxPx vibe, right? We were just like, hey, this sounds cool, but we shouldn't really put it on a real regular record. So it ended up on Let's Rock. That's an Arthur song, basically, right? Like that one. Another B-side. Just a cool vibe, but just not punk and not what we needed to be doing at the time. So we just put it on this B-side record. Great song, though. Look at this. It's like, feels good to listen to. Listen to this guitar. That's like an acoustic guitar, I think. Just sounds so lush. But yeah, I mean, we're not doing stuff like this these days. We're doing a little more straightforward punk rock, energy, up, up, up. And then, you know, you have things like I said, Every Light. Nobody knows this song. Maybe we should do it on a live stream. Have you heard this? I like that. Da-da-da. That little like sad progression. Gets happy again. Happy. Sad. Stay sad. Gets happier now. Yeah. I mean, I guess we should just play it. Anyway, your second part of your question was about 1 and 3. So where did that come from? It did come from Star Wars, but it was the second. So it was Empire Strikes Back. Here we go. Yeah. So check it. It's like we had that song. I was watching Star Wars, and I don't know if I was like, "Oh, this would be good for 1 and 3," but I was watching Empire Strikes Back, and I heard that thing, and I was like, "That's like a loop," you know? It's like that's a loop, and so I recorded it on some, you know, whatever I was recording things on, you know. It wasn't like anything professional. It was like just a memo recorder. Recorded it, and then I put it into Pro Tools and changed the pitch a little bit, changed the sound of it, like the tone and all that. And I made it all crunchy and different sounding. So I was scared. I didn't want it to like pick up on copyright stuff. So I changed it. And so it is the same, but it's not the same. It's like, it's subtly different. And I think algorithmically won't be notified. But yeah, I chopped it up to make it rhythmically better for 1 and 3. And so I chopped it up in Pro Tools, like moves things around. Yeah. And that's just one of those cool things that just happened. I mean, that's why it's good, is because it's like, it's not forced. It's like we just kind of had an idea and we got creative with it, and being creative is its own reward. You know, it really comes through. It shines through. Yeah, I love it. That's one of my favorite songs on that record, though. Yeah, for sure. But that one, this one, You Walk, I Run, is pretty fun. This is like Ever Passing Moment era. Yeah, you know, it was just, those days were just like really experimenting with ideas and trying to come up with like different ways to do punk songs, and that's why you hear things like dun, 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 this guitar part. Place, yeah. Yeah, Let's Rock. Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's more songs, but I won't torture you guys with them. That's cool, man. I hope that answered your question, Bill. I really do. Let's get to the next one.
Hey, Mike, this is Phil, or Philip, from South Carolina again. That's Phil with a PH. I appreciate you answering that Arthur question I sent you last time. And it's actually really interesting hearing those stories, so I like that. I enjoy hearing that. I do want to apologize. I may have laid it on a little thick with the most important work thing regarding the first Arthur EP. Because obviously, you know what I mean, me saying that is so loaded, it's such a subjective thing. To a fan, you know what I mean? Like, that's 90% subjectivity, pretty much, whatever you want to call it, for your taste in music and everything. And obviously, looked at one way, the Arthur full length is arguably a more representative work of Arthur, I guess you'd say. The thing is, though, and kind of what I was driving at when I said why it's so important to me, the first EP, is because, and I use that word important. I don't know why I use that word, but just to say significant or whatever. Significant to me, significant to the listener, etc. The reason I feel that way about the first Arthur EP is because when you look at the purpose of an audio recording going all the way back to before the invention of the phonograph or whatever, the purpose of an audio recording was to capture like a moment in time right there in the room, you know, way before overdubs and multi-tracks and producing as we know it now.
Yes.
So in a way, the first Arthur EP is your, I guess, soul work almost, that sort of harkens back to those very early attributes of recording, like capturing in the sound in a room, no overdubs, nothing else, like you said, vocals live, and that's it. Like almost like you're recording into the horn of a phonograph and nothing else.
Basically.
Back in the 50s.
Yeah.
And with Arthur's vibe at the time, like you said, the whole doo-wop looking like a school dance band from the 50s, that vibe of recording actually goes with this kind of the look and style of Arthur, what you guys were presenting at the time. So it's just all those things intertwined that made it so important to me, and that's why I think it's one of your most important works. And obviously that's why I said one of, because obviously looking at your whole entire catalog, it's like so many other albums are going to stand out apart from that. But taken at these weird different angles, that first Arthur EP is like very different and very unique and very, like I said, sort of significant in that aspect. I rambled on a lot here. Sorry about that. Bye.
No, thanks for the call, Phil. Yeah, I agree with you. It is hearkening back to a time where, you know, it was different. You know, you had to do it live or else you couldn't punch in. That wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing until the Beatles started, you know, punching in, you know, 4 tracks and stacking 4 tracks, and the, you know, this light is driving me crazy. You see this light on my face? Those that are watching on YouTube know there's this light I've been battling with for a few minutes here. Anyway, but as far as live goes, like, you know, it makes me think about La Bamba, the movie. Richie Valens is in the studio for the first time, and they're making him do it over and over and over, and he's like on take 50 and 60. It's crazy. Finally gets it, you know, and it's just like, wow, that was a whole different way to do it. But these days, I feel like, yes, doing it live it's different, but I almost feel like live in the studio should be, if it's in the studio, it's in the studio. And if it's live, it doesn't matter. Like, it should be exactly what you want it to be. I'm trying to explain this point. If you're in a studio here, in a recording studio, and you record something, whether or not you played it one time, that'd be live, right? Or 80 times Richie Valens, it still has to sound good. So my point is, yes, that was, the Arthur was live and it was the essence, but we should have just done it again. Live again, a million times until finally we did it right and I sang it perfectly. And you know what I'm saying? So that was a live take, but it was one take. It was one. It should have been a 50 take. It should have been a, you know, if we're not gonna overdub, which we weren't gonna do, which overdubbing is, okay, say we record the drums and then we play the drums back, not recording the drums, but playing back what was recorded. And then listening to that, we play guitar onto that. Listening to that, we play bass onto that. Listening to that, I sing to that after that, you know? So that's overdubbing. But if you're all playing live together, boom, that's live, one take, boom. But it could be live the second take as well, and you're just using that second take. That's live. It's all live, but it's one take, two takes, three takes. You get second chances, third chances, fourth chances. And we should have, of course, we didn't have time. We weren't paying for an extra day. This was a free recording that we basically like conned Steve Kravac into doing for us for free. And he got paid eventually. And we were just trying to do it quick. So there's that. But if we were really trying to do a real recording, like this is our opus, our Magnus opus, we could still do it the exact way we did it. It would sound the same, but then I would like sing more in key and we would be a little more in tune and we would be like, you know, so like it would just be tighter, you know, but again, that's to say, I was like, maybe you wouldn't like it as much. Maybe that's the beauty of that recording. The fact that it was like we were barely playing the songs right. And you can kind of tell. And especially now, after you hear me talk about it, you definitely know that that's what was going on. And we're just trying not to screw up, you know? So like, there's something to that for sure. So, but back to my point. So there's 2 points here. There's something to that, the live thing. But one, live, if it's going to be live, play it again. Play it until you can't. Play it until that's going to sound the same every time you play it. And we did that on a couple songs with Tumble Down. But I don't know. I might have specified recorded live in the studio, but now I feel like that's wrong. Now I shouldn't have said that. I should have that's just another recording in the studio. It just happened to be live. It wasn't a one take live recording. We did a bunch of takes. We were like, oh, let's do it again. But we all were playing in there together, and I was singing in there together. So love it. Love doing that. I think that's super important. And I've done that a lot of times with a lot of my acoustic stuff. It's just one recording. It's one take. It's not an overdub. It's not a click track, all that. It's just, and it's not a live recording either because it's you're in a studio environment. It sounds good. You're playing your song. So it's not a live recording unless you have a live studio audience or you're playing live to an internet audience. Then it's live. But it's not really live if you can do it over, right? That's what I'm saying. Even if it is a one take shot. Those are my thoughts. All right, let's go next one. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, Mike? It's Joe again from St. Petersburg, Florida. A few episodes back, we talked about dreams. Lately, I've been watching the Kung Fu series on the CW because I've done Taekwondo a lot of my adult life.
Kung Fu.
And so a lot of times I'll watch that before going to bed, and I'll dream being that vigilante. So I thought, I'd share that. And also I've been watching the Wu-Tang Saga on Hulu, because I also grew up with hip hop a lot in the 90s, and I know that Tony Hawk, a lot of those games have hip hop and punk rock. So my question was, I know it's going to sound really random, but if a hip hop artist or group were to ever approach MxPx or yourself, would you ever want to collaborate with a hip hop artist or group? Cause I know RZA, you know, he does a lot of beats and music for like different movies, and, there are different artists like, Outkast, Andre 3000 does a lot of eclectic style music, or Pharrell Williams, when he was in NERD, did a lot of rock samples and different things like that, you know. So I thought it'd be kind of cool, you know, to mix a little punk rock and hip hop, you know, and collaborate. I know that's probably a little out of your guys' wheelhouse, but, you know, I just thought I'd throw that out there and see what your take would be on that. And hope you guys are doing well, you know, excited for the new music. And also I did order the Southbound to San Antonio vinyl. My mom got me a vinyl record for a record player for Christmas, so it's pretty awesome to listen to that and think about the memories. I got to see the concert in Orlando, as I mentioned before, at the Plaza Live. You know, so it was kind of cool to experience that music on Southbound and hear the crowd in the back and kind of reminisce of that show. And looking forward to upcoming shows in the future when you guys head back down to Florida. In the meantime, I'll keep listening to the podcast, keep listening to the music, and excited for the new music that will come out later this year. Hope you're doing well, and take it easy. All right, bye.
All right. Dude, thanks for calling, Joe. So, yeah, hip-hop collab. I would love to someday. It'd be interesting. I mean, we've thought about it over the years. It just hasn't really, like, come up. You know, just keep writing songs and keep putting out, you know. But who would I want? Like, if I could just pick who I wanted. I mean, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, you know, any of those guys. Andre 3000, you mentioned. Outkast, I love that. Cypress Hill, Respect for sure. Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'd be open to a lot of people. Wu-Tang. You know, I know all their hits, you know, that kind of thing. But I definitely grew up West Coast rap, listening to a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, let's go. Let's do this. All right, let's do one more voicemail, and we'll call it a week. Thank you, guys.
Hey, what's up, Mike? This is Cam. I'm calling from Fort Collins, Colorado. Called in a couple of times before, but I wanted to ask you kind of about, well, let me start by saying that I got to go see you guys play a show in Vegas at the Hard Rock at Wasted Space. And at the time, it was deemed to be Yuri's final show, like he was retiring from the band or something. So I thought it was so cool that I was there. I just, like, oh my gosh, last time I see Yuri play, this is so sweet. Super fun venue, small, pretty intimate. But I was wondering kind of what happened with all of that. Like, I remember, like, shortly after that, I think Tom stopped playing with the band too, and you were doing, like, MxPx All Stars there for a while, like with Chris Rowe and some other people sort of filling in. And then fast forward to whenever Tom and Yuri were back in the band, and, you know, new stuff started coming out again. And I was just wondering if you could kind of relay the story of what happened with those guys leaving and then eventually coming back to the band. And sorry if you told that story before. I might have missed that episode, but appreciate it, man. And hope to see you out here in Colorado soon. Hopefully even in Fort Collins. That would be even cooler. We got a great scene out here, of course, as you know. So, all right, thanks, man. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Yeah, man. It's such a trip to think about those days. When we played in Vegas at Wasted Space at the Hard Rock, sold out those shows. everybody thought Yuri was quitting. He did quit. He was quitting, but like when he did those shows, he was like, man, I kind of don't want to quit, you know? And he eventually did end up quitting, but there's a documentary called Both Ends Burning, which is a great little sort of end of an era kind of thing. Like, it's really sad because you think, okay, MxPx is done, they're breaking up, but we, you know, obviously we came back, we got back together, we started doing shows, we started building back up, and we made Self-Titled, which was our, you know, our best record in 10 years, and maybe, you know, and one of our best songs ever, Let's Ride, came out of that, and a lot of new beginnings came out in 2018, and so, like, if you look back on Both Ends Burning in those times, it feels like we're in a slump. It feels like that we're dying, and then boom, we reawaken and come back. So I have talked about different facets of this story, but you know, basically, you know, the music business was dying and dead at the time, and we were struggling to make money. And you know, the funny thing is bands don't really make a lot of money. You know, we don't own. Most bands don't own their stuff. You know, they don't own their publishing. Well, they might own their publishing, but they don't own the rights to their songs and this and that. And that was true of us. We didn't have the rights to our songs, and we didn't have the publishing. And you know, we got it back with Secret Weapon, but just there was no sales. Sales were down. Napster was the thing. It was a weird time, right? And you know, those guys saw the writing on the wall and were like, you know, we're gonna look into some other line of work, you know, another line of work, and I was adamant that I was never going to quit music, and I'm still adamant about that, I think, and I kept going. But the thing is, with the All-Stars, and I think I said this a couple of weeks ago on the podcast where somebody was talking about the All-Stars, how it got started, but Tom and Yuri both got jobs accepted at the same time, and so Yuri actually had quit, not quit, but couldn't go on a tour. He had a kid born, and so he had missed a tour. And Tom, so we had Chris Wilson filling in on drums, and he was you know, then the next tour was Japan, and Tom and Yuri both got jobs and couldn't go to our Japan tour, and that's when it truly became, okay, do we cancel the tour, or do we become MxPx All Stars? And that's when I started MxPx All Stars. Chris Rowe played guitar, Chris Wilson on drums. The lineup in Europe changed, and how I got the lineup in Europe was I was doing solo shows, playing with these guys, and they had their own band, and they like learned a couple songs, and we would like jam a couple MxPx songs, and then from there it was like, well, why don't we just do MxPx All Stars? And so we did that, toured around, kept the name alive, kept going. You know, we probably made new fans just on those shows. You know, we were playing shows with like Itchy, what are they called? Itchy. They're just called Itchy. They're from Germany, but there's a longer German name, I think, attached to that. But anyway, so it was a crazy time, but like it was a very unsure time. I was doing that. I started doing Tumbledown in 2007. That's when Tumbledown started, and that was never a moneymaker. You know, bands didn't really make money back in those days, and nowadays they probably don't make money either. You know, like we've been lucky enough because we own some of the rights to some of our stuff now, and like say we put out this new self-titled album this last time, and this next new album that we're going to put out is going to be completely owned by us, and that really is the lifeblood of MxPx, and us staying together and staying creative and staying, you know, making new music and playing festivals, playing shows, and it's just a constant battle. It's a trudge uphill, and we got to keep going. But hey, it's a great life, and it's something that we've been able to continue to do through the peaks and valleys, and you know, even though those shows, Wasted Space, were so much fun, we had the best time doing those shows. It did mark sort of a sad time. It was sort of like the end of that era of MxPx, and we had to rebuild from there. We became, it's like everything was kind of like burning at that point, or just like falling apart in some ways. And it took probably Tom and Yuri some time away from the band, me some time away from them, to realize how great they are. We always got along, but you know, time apart can be good to just realize how much you love people. And you know, when we got back together for Self-Titled, you can watch those videos on YouTube. They're still on there. We're talking to each other on camera, talking about the story, about how we started playing shows together again. The shows got bigger and bigger. Finally, you know, we were selling out everywhere. We did those Hollywood standout, those 3 nights in Hollywood, you know, and it just made so much sense. I brought us a new song to practice, and clicked. We started working on a new record, and boom, we had Self-Titled. And I feel like the same exact thing happened with this new album. As far as we weren't working on a new album, we should have been a long time ago, but finally we were just in practice, and it was just like, I was like, you guys want to hear a new song? You know, and I had a couple new songs ready, and from there, then I start writing new ones. And so we're in full process, and you know, like, you just go for it, like, when that happens. So it's real organic, it's real. It's not going to be like probably even the most amazing sounding record you've ever heard. Like, we really tried to be real on this record. We really tried to be like straightforward, and like, this is what we are going to sound like live. I mean, we try to make it sound a little bit better than that. You know, there are mess ups that happen now and again live, but I try not to mess up. But you know, like, there's always like little brain fart lyrics that I mess up that lyric every time, and it's because like I let my mind break me. I let myself get it, you know, get the best of me, or whatever it is. Crazy times, but you know, it's always a learning experience. It's always something that I walk away with getting better, feeling better about. So this new album, we're working on it, and like I said, it's slow going, but it's happening. So pieces are happening. There's a lot of pieces to it. It's not just writing the song, not just recording the song, and not just the artwork, not just, you know, there's a million things. And I appreciate you guys being patient. Keep jamming, can't keep waiting. Keep jamming, Unstoppable. Keep jamming all the newer songs. Keep jamming all your favorites. All your favorites. If you're looking for something though that helps us, there's a playlist on Spotify, a playlist on Apple. It's on all the show notes, so you can just click through. But it's MxPx Challenge, or MxPx Listening Challenge, or something like that. And that's all the stuff that is good. When we get that stuff played, that helps us because we own the rights to those songs. We are an independent band, and there's not a lot of those. Even the bands, the bigger artists that say they're independent, aren't actually independent. And you could say that about us too. If you say like, well, you do shows with Live Nation. Well, sure, yeah, we do shows with Live Nation. But as far as the record label end, the distribution end, that's all us. That's our people calling Spotify, trying to get a hold of Spotify, trying to get a hold of, you know, the IPOs and the different, you know, the different distribution companies. That's like us. So things get missed. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get everything done, especially when those same people are also doing all the artwork for the new album and all the plans for touring and all the, you know, all the things that we have to do, merchandise, and I'm not overwhelmed or anything. It's getting done. But I appreciate all the help that we have. So shout out to the MxPx team. And thanks to you guys. Like I said, when you support MxPx in any way, that keeps all the people that we have employed being employed by us. And so that they only quit after they've been run into the ground and they're tired. That's usually when they quit. But we don't want to ever have to let people go because we can't afford them, you know. So luckily we've been good. now it's just a matter of just finding the right people. You know, we're always needing help, but I'm not asking you guys for help. I'm just talking real talk, real business stuff. You know, you gotta find your team. You gotta keep them close. You gotta strike when the iron's hot. And you know, I've been cleaning this whole place up, moving stuff around. It's just piled up over the last couple of years, and just in need of a good spring cleaning. You know, and so my buddy Mike Moen has been helping me out. It's been good. All right, you guys, that's it. I've been keeping you guys, so I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. Please call in, leave a message, 360-830-6660. Shout out to my boy Bob McKnight. His podcast, The Bob and Katie Show, is available everywhere you hear podcasts. Please do me a favor, subscribe, rate, review this podcast. If you listen on Apple, you can review it. You can rate it. If you're on Spotify, you can heart it. If you're on all of that, I'd appreciate that. All right. Until next time. Peace.